before the quarantine, this room had about no succulents in it. Now I've filled the shelf right up with all sorts of stuff. Now, it's not only succulents, I've got other stuff going on too. But you can see that I have become quite addicted, and it just keeps going on around the room. So last year, I entered some basil into the Jersey County Fair, and I had no idea what I was doing. And then my basil ended up getting first place, and I went from extremely insecure to extremely cocky about it. And whenever I got home, I had my basil sitting there with a blue ribbon attached to it. And so there it sat, and I just kind of forgot about it. And one day I thought, I should probably throw that basil away. It's been a while. And then I saw it had roots. And so I did a little Googling, and that's when I discovered propagation. Then I was able to pot up my prize-winning basil and send it home with my friends so they could kill it. So if someone will actually allow me, I can talk about propagation for days. Propagation is basically free plants. So you have a leaf that fell off of your beloved succulent ball, or you just feel like you want a free plant, and so you can actually pop leaves off of succulents that are planted throughout your house. So ways to propagate. First of all, there's water propagation. This does not have to just be with succulents. I think that these are succulents, but it doesn't have to be succulents. You can cut the stem off of any old plant, and you can usually wind up propagating it. But what we got going on here, these were just cuttings off of another plant. So it was like a full-blown succulent, cut right off the side, and then I put it in water, and it grew roots. Woo! Another really super cool way to propagate is water propagation. And instead of doing the whole cuttings, you can simply propagate leaves. So here I just have some saran wrap banded on there with a rubber band, cut a little slit in it, and with time, it starts propagating in water. And this is cool because you can actually see what's going on. But I also have a rotting leaf here. So what I'm guessing happened is I probably didn't let it callus enough, and it's rotting. It's fine. This is what the start of successful propagation looks like. And when that leaf dries up, that means the propagation is complete, and you now have a tiny little baby free plant. So why do I have so many tiny little planters? Why don't I just put them all in one big old planter? Well, supposedly they really like to be cramped up in tiny spaces. They grow best whenever they're in small pots. However, I loaded this dude down, and it seems to be doing well too, so I have no idea. Pretty much any plant needs a hole in the bottom to allow for excess water to drain out, but succulents definitely do, because they prefer a really dry soil. So you don't want to just use straight up potting soil. You want to be mixing in some sand or some chicken grit or some somewhere that starts with a P. It's called perlite, and I found some at Home Depot. Terracotta pots are highly recommended for succulents, but you can also get creative and use things that are around your house. Inexpensive drill bits specifically for ceramic are available, and they actually work on glass too. The base of this is a $1 glass vase from Dollar Tree. One of my favorite things to do is repurpose. So even cans of peas are getting repurposed around here. These rocks are available at Dollar Tree for $1. And one bag will take you really, really far, especially if you're using these teeny tiny pots that are available at Dollar Tree, 3 for $1. Woo! Now this pot is especially fancy, and the rocks do make it look more polished, but I like to add rocks to all my plants. It helps with the watering process. It helps to protect your soil too. So if you want to be in the succulent game, you have to have a water bottle. You have to. 2 reasons. First of all, it's ideal for watering because you're able to control your watering process. So you're not supposed to really get the leaves wet, but you're really wanting to water the, well, in my case, rocks or soil or whatever. You're really wanting to spray away from the plant because you're wanting to water the roots. You're not wanting to actually get water on the succulent because it will cause it to rot. The other thing that makes a water bottle ideal is sometimes, especially when you're planting, you get soil on your succulents. And although I just said you don't ever want to spray the leaves of your succulents, this thing serves as like a mini power washer. So it's like you get soil up in here and it's like, and it like washes the soil away. And there's no damage because you only use the water bottle. So I'm a big old believer that there are 2 different types of watering instructions. If you are a person who doesn't have a lot of time on your hands, you're not at home much, you're going to just completely be able to forget about your plants very easily, I need you to know that you need to water these things at least every 2 to 3 weeks. If you are a person who spends a lot of time at home and you just kind of like walk around looking for something to water because you feel like you're going to help the plant, you need to know that succulents do like dry soil. They sort of thrive on neglect. So if you walk around the house with a water bottle trying to water them constantly, or even like a couple times a week, you're really just killing your plants. And that's not good. I have had succulents for quite a while now. Like, I bought one here or there, I don't know. I've had succulents around for like a decade. You know, a cactus here, cactus there. 2 ways that you can become hopelessly addicted, which is what happened to me. Number 1, successful propagation. And number 2, joining All About Succulents on Facebook. You do those 2 things, you're gonna be like me. I recommend using the succulent fertilizer for your succulents because even if it's just a placebo, you're gonna want the placebo effect going on because these things are slow to grow and you wanna feel like you're doing something. So the other day I walked out here after putting fertilizer on them like 2 days before that and I'm like, wow. I don't know, it was probably a placebo, but I felt like they grew. Succulents want lots of indirect lighting, or really any houseplant in general. We're looking for indirect lighting. So this room is a good one. It does get a little intense early in the morning as the sun is rising, but it's no big thing, like maybe summertime. Just pretty much anywhere by a window is good. It's going to give you lots of indirect lighting and give your houseplants what they need. You can also buy something called grow lights, and these I got off of Amazon, and I do believe that they work. I've been using them all this spring while it hasn't been super sunny, and it helps my succulents to propagate on here. It helps some of my plants root. I usually have this table full, but I've just moved a lot of things into the sunroom. It's quite evident that plants love sunshine, indirect sunshine or sunlight. As all these leaves on this house plant are growing right in towards the sun, it needs to be rotated. All the backs of the leaves are just totally turned away from the sun because the plant is literally growing right into the sun. I have a succulent ball started hanging here. This is not the ideal situation. There is just not enough lighting here for that thing. I tried to put a succulent on the shelf and I killed it because there's not enough lighting in here, but I have to have a plant in every room, and there are fake succulents that actually look really real. That is totally fake, so if real isn't your thing, there you go. Direct lighting, indirect lighting. Direct lighting, indirect lighting. Now, some plants, they can be in direct lighting, but you gotta kind of ease them up to it, or your plant can actually get a sunburn. So I'm attempting to plant some succulents here in my landscaping. I have purchased some hen and chicks, or whatever these are. I don't know. They were at Lowe's. They were $5. It's pretty cool because whenever you flip it underneath, you can see all these babies that are starting. So I'm excited for those to hopefully spread all over my landscaping if Slim doesn't eat them. Before I plant, I do like to get up under here and get all this dead stuff out because it's just gonna rot. And I'm gonna try to plant these things up a little higher off the ground so that they aren't just sitting in wet soil. I did prep the soil a little bit. I mixed in some of that word that starts with a P that I can't remember and some sand. There's a bit of chicken grit in here just to make the soil drain. This is sedum tiles, and they're available at Home Depot and Lowe's. I love these because they're perennials, so you don't have to pot them up and take them in the Midwest winter. They're going to keep coming back every year. Sedum and hen and chicks are about all we're going to get to keep coming back every year in the Midwest. I just planted this sedum last week, and it is already spreading. Yay! Home Depot has been knocking it out of the ballpark. These beauties are called living frames and can actually be hung on the wall. Hot diggity! My favorite thing right now, besides a good cup of coffee, is getting succulents in the mail. It's so awesome. Online cuttings from Etsy, they're the best things. So cuttings are actually trimmed right off of a full-grown succulent, and you can let them callus. And once they've calloused, which means, like, see how that is like dark now? I hate this word, but it's like forming a scab. It's a good thing because it is going to prevent the plant from actually rotting whenever you stick it in soil. A real secret to having successful succulents is, I think, to just live in Southern California. That's the glorious part about living in a world with high-speed transportation and communication. We can get cool things from all around the world shipped right to us. So they were started in Southern California, and then now we get to reap the benefits. I keep ordering these cuttings because it's less expensive than ordering a rooted succulent. It gives me a whole lot of variety. It's like a surprise opening the box, and you just don't ever know what you're gonna get. It's just gonna be a big old variety, and that is really exciting to me. I'm pretty sure Dustin is being distracted by peanut butter cookies right now, so let's talk price. So this box of succulents, there's 100 in here, and the 100 cuttings, which is a lot, it was $66, and shipping was free. I don't know, 60 cents a succulent, 66 cents. That's hard to say when I have a lisp. But I mean, that's a pretty dang good price. When you hear propagation, you should hear potential for a free plant. And that's awesome because I spent a lot of money, so free plants. These are cuttings that I got in the mail, and I'm gonna be using these cuttings in a succulent ball. So I need there to be an actual stem on the plant anyway. So what I do is break off the leaves intentionally for propagation so that I'm going to be able to get free plants. So looking at here, so I need a stem, and there's no real stem on here. So what I'm gonna do is kind of give it a twisting motion, and it breaks off it's got like a slight U shape whenever you do this. And then from here, you have to let it callus. You have to let it callus before you put it in any water or soil or anything. And the way that something calluses is by letting it simply sit out at room temperature, and it just sits for a day, a week, whatever. And it forms a scab-like thing on the bottom. I hate the word scab. So let's talk rooting hormone. I got this for $4 on Amazon, but you can probably buy it other places. I just get lost in the gardening stores. So you take this end after you've let it callus, and you dip it in a little water, and you just dip it right into the rooting hormone, which is just powder, and you just let it sit. It can sit on a table, a windowsill, tissue paper, a plate, dry soil, whatever you want. It'll propagate anywhere. You do not need to water them. All of the nutrients that this thing needs to propagate is actually in the leaf itself. But I know you feel like you gotta be doing something good for your succulent, so if you've gotta squirt it every now and again with a little water, you do you. With time, like a lot of time, like weeks, months, you will start ending up with things that are propagating. This is after like weeks. It takes a really long time.
Thank you for watching.